obviously love my sisters. I love my family, and seeing
Hollywood thrives on whispers, secrets, rumors, half-truths. They swirl through the industry like wildfire. But every once in a while, a whisper grows too loud to ignore. And that is exactly what happened when Ray J, the man tied to Kim Kardashian's earliest controversy, stepped back into the spotlight with accusations that rattled not only her empire, but also the very foundation of the Kardashian brand. In a raw and unfiltered outburst, Ray J made claims that cut deeper than any tabloid headline. He insisted that the Kardashian family was worse than Diddy, a statement loaded with insinuations, given Diddy's own swirling controversies. But Ray J didn't stop there. He went further, suggesting that federal investigators had the Kardashians under their watchful eye. It was not just gossip anymore. It was war, the ghost of scandals past. To truly grasp the shockwaves these words created, one must travel back to the early 2000s. Kim Kardashian was not yet the billionaire mogul, fashion icon, and reality television queen we know today. She was Paris Hilton's assistant, a young woman navigating the fringes of Hollywood. Then came the infamous tape, the scandal that tied her name forever to Ray J. For years, the tape was a shadow that haunted Kim, but she transformed that shadow into the fuel of her empire. Keeping Up with the Kardashians premiered, and the world witnessed her journey from scandal to stardom. Yet, Ray J never fully disappeared from the narrative. He lingered like a ghost from the past, an inconvenient reminder of where it all began. Hollywood holds its breath. The Kardashians have never been strangers to controversy. From messy divorces to headline-grabbing romances, from fashion triumphs to lawsuits, they are both magnets and masters of media storms. But this time felt different. This wasn't about a breakup or a wardrobe malfunction. This was about federal investigation claims. Words that could spiral into legal nightmares if left unchecked. Hollywood insiders whispered, "Will Kim respond?" Some speculated she would brush it off, refusing to give Ray J the satisfaction of attention. Others predicted she would unleash her legal team, making an example out of him for daring to challenge the empire. Behind the glossy Instagram posts and carefully staged public appearances, something was brewing. A decision that would shift the narrative from scandalous rumor to courtroom drama. A family empire on the line at stake was not just Kim's personal reputation. It was the Kardashian legacy. Kris Jenner, the architect behind the family's rise to superstardom, understood better than anyone that image was everything. She had built her daughters' careers on calculated moves, polished media strategies, and relentless control over public perception. Ray J's accusations weren't just noise, they threatened to unravel years of careful curation. They threatened business deals, endorsements, and partnerships worth millions. They threatened to paint the Kardashians as villains in a city where public opinion often decides fortune. The calm before the storm. In the days that followed Ray J's statements, the entertainment world buzzed with speculation. Paparazzi stalked Kim's every move. Commentators on podcasts dissected every angle. Fans on social media lined up on either side, some defending Kim fiercely, others urging her to face the truth. Because this was not going to end in a war of words. This was going to court. Kim Kardashian strikes back. The decision to fight silence can sometimes be the most powerful weapon in Hollywood. But when silence risks being mistaken for guilt, action becomes the only option. Kim Kardashian and her mother, Kris Jenner, weighed the damage of Ray J's claims. The allegations weren't fleeting gossip. They were words designed to tear down everything the Kardashian-Jenner clan had built. Behind the walls of their Calabasas mansion, conversations grew tense. Was this a desperate man seeking headlines, or was it an orchestrated attempt to destabilize their empire? Kim knew one thing. Her reputation, her businesses, and even her children's legacy could not afford to be smeared. The answer was clear. She would strike back with the one tool capable of silencing lies: the law. The lawsuit unleashed. The announcement dropped like a thunderclap. Headlines screamed, Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner filed defamation suit against Ray J. The lawsuit alleged that Ray J's statements were not only false, but also malicious, calculated to inflict maximum damage on Kim and her family. Legal documents detailed how his words had harmed business negotiations, threatened brand partnerships, and tarnished her carefully cultivated image. Kris Jenner, ever the strategist, stood firmly by her daughter. The lawsuit wasn't just a legal move, it was a declaration of war. By putting their case into the public record, the Kardashians were telling Hollywood, "We will not be dragged down by lies." The power of image. For Kim Kardashian, image has always been more than vanity. It is currency. Her makeup brand, her fashion lines, her endorsements, and even her television appearances all rest on the foundation of credibility and influence. One crack in that foundation, and the empire risks collapse. That is why the lawsuit carried so much weight. To her fans, it was a bold act of defense. To her critics, it was a show of force. But to Kim, it was survival. Allowing Ray J's accusations to stand unchallenged would mean risking her billion-dollar businesses and, perhaps worse, her place in the cultural spotlight. Public reaction erupts. The moment the lawsuit hit the news cycle, the world lit up. Talk shows debated the case endlessly. Podcasts dissected every legal filing. Social media platforms turned into battlegrounds. Some argued that Kim was right to fight back, that no woman should have her reputation shredded by a former partner's accusations. Others accused her of trying to silence someone who knew too much. The debate raged, with every post, every tweet, every comment feeding the fire. Even Hollywood insiders couldn't resist weighing in. Some stars rallied behind Kim, praising her for standing up for herself and her family. Others whispered privately that dragging Ray J into court might only amplify his words. The legal battlefield in the courtroom, every word matters. Defamation suits are notoriously difficult to win, requiring proof not only that the statements were false, but also that they were made with malicious intent. Kim's lawyers prepared meticulously, gathering evidence, testimonies, and expert opinions to demonstrate the harm Ray J's claims had caused. Ray J, meanwhile, prepared for a battle of his own. Publicly, he doubled down, insisting he was speaking the truth. His legal team framed him as the underdog, a man standing up against one of the most powerful families in Hollywood. A mother's fury. Kris Jenner has been called many things: momager, mastermind, puppet master of fame. But when it comes to her children, she is a lioness. Sources close to the family revealed that Kris took Ray J's words as a personal insult, not just to Kim, but to the entire Kardashian legacy she had built with relentless precision. The gathering storm. As weeks passed, the tension only grew. Paparazzi captured Kim entering meetings with her attorneys. Ray J, defiant, gave interviews promising to reveal everything. Fans braced themselves for a trial that promised to expose secrets on both sides. Hollywood has seen many legal dramas, but this one was different. It wasn't just about money or contracts. It was about power, influence, and the very fabric of celebrity culture. The war of reputations, the courtroom of public opinion. Long before the first witness could be called, the trial had already begun. Not in court, but in the relentless, unforgiving arena of public opinion. The Kardashian family understood this better than anyone. Their entire empire was built on controlling narratives, bending the media to their advantage, and staying several moves ahead of their critics. Ray J, on the other hand, leaned into his role as the outsider, the disruptor. He didn't have the wealth, the brand partnerships, or the billion-dollar businesses behind him, but he had something else: the power of raw words, unfiltered, unpolished, dripping with resentment and conviction. And for many watching, that authenticity was enough to make them question the glossy Kardashian facade. The media-frenzied tabloids exploded with headlines: Kim Kardashian's reputation on trial, Ray J promises bombshell evidence. Kris Jenner versus the past. She Can't Erase Entertainment shows dissected every angle. Legal analysts weighed in on television, while gossip columnists dug through old archives of Kardashian history to find every crack in the armor. The narrative was no longer confined to a legal dispute. It became a cultural conversation. Could a family that built its fame on transparency, reality television, and constant media exposure truly silence someone who had once been part of their story? Or was this lawsuit simply another chapter in their saga of survival? Kim's calculated silence. Through the chaos, Kim Kardashian chose silence. No interviews, no emotional outbursts, just carefully curated social media posts of family outings, product launches, and fashion campaigns. But make no mistake, this was not avoidance. This was strategy. Kim knew that every word could be used against her. Every slip of the tongue could be twisted into a weapon. Instead, she let the lawsuit speak for her, allowing her lawyers and documents to do the talking. Ray J's counteroffensive. Ray J, meanwhile, went on the offensive. He gave fiery interviews, painting himself as the underdog standing up to a billion-dollar empire. He framed the Kardashians as manipulative, controlling, and ruthless in their pursuit of fame. For his supporters, it was a David versus Goliath narrative, a man with little left to lose, fighting back against the most powerful family in Hollywood. For his critics, it was desperation, a last-ditch attempt to claw back relevance by dragging the past into the spotlight. But whichever side people took, one thing was clear. Ray J had reignited interest in a story many thought was buried forever. Family legacy on the line. Inside the Kardashian household, the stakes were higher than ever. Kim wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for her children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm, to ensure that the headlines of their childhood would not be dominated by scandal. Kris Jenner, too, felt the weight of the moment. The lawsuit was not just about silencing one man, it was about protecting an empire she had built with unrelenting precision. For her, this was not just a legal battle, it was legacy preservation. The verdict awaited, the city holds its breath. Hollywood thrives on spectacle, but rarely does it find itself paralyzed by anticipation. As Kim Kardashian's lawsuit against Ray J moved closer to its decisive moment, the city buzzed with a strange mix of excitement and dread. This wasn't just a legal fight anymore, it was a battle over truth, over image, over the very machinery of fame itself. Every headline seemed like a teaser for a movie that everyone wanted to see, but no one could predict. Would the courtroom strip away the glitz, revealing skeletons the Kardashians had buried? Or would Ray J's bold claims finally collapse under the weight of evidence and cross-examination? Kim's final stand. Kim Kardashian walked into the proceedings with the same composure she has perfected for decades. Poised, unshaken, her silence had become her shield. To the world, she appeared untouchable, embodying the calm confidence of someone who believed justice and truth was on her side. But inside, the stakes were clear. This was not only about silencing Ray J. It was about sending a message to the entire industry that her family's name was not to be toyed with, that her businesses, her children, her legacy were untouchable. For Kim, losing was not an option. Her lawyers painted Ray J's accusations as nothing more than reckless lies from a man desperate for relevance. They presented the damage done, to partnerships, to negotiations, to her reputation, and framed it all as a deliberate attack, malicious in nature. Ray J's last card. Across the aisle, Ray J leaned into his role as the provocateur. He doubled down, portraying himself as the truth teller, the one brave enough to speak what others were too afraid to say. He insisted that his words were not lies, but revelations, and that silencing him would only prove the Kardashians had something to hide. His defense was simple yet risky: credibility. Could he convince the world that his truth outweighed Kim's empire of influence? Could he persuade even a fraction of Hollywood to see him not as bitter, but as brave? For some, he was already the villain. For others, he was the unlikely hero standing up against a dynasty too powerful to challenge. A trial beyond the courtroom. Outside the courthouse, the media circus reached its peak. Fans held signs, some supporting Kim, others backing Ray J. Reporters swarmed sidewalks, cameras capturing every glance, every whisper, every flicker of emotion. On television, legal analysts treated the case like the trial of the century. Podcasts promised to break down every moment. Social media boiled over, hashtags trending worldwide. To millions, the verdict didn't need a gavel. It was already being decided in the hearts and minds of those watching. This was no longer just a lawsuit. It was a cultural event. The Kardashian legacy tested, at the heart of it all lay one unshakable truth. The Kardashian brand was being tested like never before. For years, they had turned scandals into storylines, controversies into cash, criticism into clout. But this time, the threat was different. If Ray J prevailed even partially, it could tarnish Kim's image in ways money and strategy could not repair. But if Kim won, it would be more than just legal victory. It would cement her status as one of the most unbreakable figures in modern celebrity history. Kris Jenner, watching closely, knew the outcome would ripple far beyond this courtroom. It would echo into boardrooms, contracts, partnerships, and even the family's future generations. This wasn't just a trial, it was history in the making. The cliffhanger of truth. As proceedings dragged on, suspense only deepened. Every testimony, every filing, every whispered leak raised more questions than answers. Was Ray J holding back evidence that could shift the case? Would Kim's legal team uncover contradictions that would bury him completely? The world watched, restless and eager, because the story wasn't just about Kim Kardashian or Ray J anymore. It had become a reflection of Hollywood itself, a place where power collides with truth, where image can be stronger than fact, and where the line between victim and villain is never truly clear. The verdict awaited. And so, the saga reached its most agonizing point, waiting. Waiting for the final word, the judgment that would decide not only the outcome of a lawsuit, but also the fate of reputations, careers, and legacies. For Kim Kardashian, the verdict meant either ultimate vindication or cracks in the empire she had spent decades building. For Ray J, it meant either redemption or ruin. The cameras flashed, the public leaned forward, and Hollywood held its breath. Because in the city of stars, truth is often stranger than fiction. And sometimes, the ending is the greatest cliffhanger of all.